Hi, I'm Kelsey from roughandtumblefarmhouse.com, and today we are going to be making fire cider. Now, fire cider has been around for thousands of years in one form or another. Basically, what it is you are taking a bunch of really healthy root crops and herbs and sometimes other vegetables, and you are going to be mixing it with apple cider vinegar. And the term or the name fire cider really became popular back in the late 60s, early 70s with Rosemary Gladstar. And that's actually where I'm getting the recipes from that I'm using today, is from her book. It's by Rosemary Gladstar and friends. It's called Fire Cider 101 Zesty Recipes for Healthy Boosting Remedies. So fire cider is something that you might want to make, especially this time of year when vegetables and produce are really at the ready and available. It's something you might want to make now to have ready when fall and winter comes and it's kind of cold and flu season. It's something that you might take if you feel like you're getting a cold. Some people take it every single day just to kind of keep their immune system up, because as you'll see in a minute here, it's full of really good for you herbs and vegetables and spices. Now, I'll be sharing with you 4 recipes today that all come from the Fire Cider book, and please click the link below to the blog post, because there I will have the recipes all written out for you, and then I will also have links to the original author's blog or to their website, so you can read more about them and learn more about them, because most of the people who share recipes in this book are also really great resources for other things in terms of herbal remedies and for making things at home for a healthy lifestyle. So one of the cool things about fire cider is that there really isn't one specific recipe. There's kind of a base recipe that a lot of people start with that comes from Rosemary Gladstar, and then you really can make it a million different ways with different spices, different flavors, depending on what you like and where you live. Sometimes people make them a little more regionally specific. So we're going to try 4 recipes today that I picked out that are a little bit different from each other, because I'm excited to try the different flavors and see which my family prefers. So we won't get to taste it today because fire cider has to sit for 3 to 4 weeks. So let's talk about the process a little bit. So I have here on my countertop, you can't see it very well on the camera, sorry, but I have all the basic ingredients for fire cider. So one of the things you're definitely going to need to have is horseradish root. That is in every single fire cider recipe I have ever seen. So you want to make sure you have a good source of horseradish root. You can get it online. We had a neighbor that had some. I went over there and I just dug it up yesterday and got it all scrubbed clean. Another thing that's in every single fire cider recipe that I've seen, again, you can change yours up when you create your own, is ginger root. So you'll need ginger root. You'll also need lots and lots of garlic. That's in just about every recipe as well. And then onions are also in every recipe. And then most of them have a final thing of some type of hot pepper, whether it's cayenne pepper. I've got some jalapenos here for one of the recipes. Those are all kind of the basic things you're going to need to make your fire cider. And of course, you're going to need a lot of raw apple cider vinegar. And then once your fire cider has finished kind of steeping, then you're going to be adding a little bit of honey to counteract all that spice and all that heat. So we are going to get all these vegetables and roots and everything else processed down, and then we're going to put it in a jar. We are going to add vinegar to cover it. We're going to shake it up and let it sit for 3 to 4 weeks, and then we are going to just continue shaking it every single day. So let's get started, because I have a lot of stuff to prep here, and it's going to take me a while to get everything ready for 4 batches of fire cider. I'm going to have 2 gallons of this stuff when we're finished, so let's get going. All right, so now that I finally got all the ingredients prepped, we're going to start making some fire cider. So I just have a half-gallon mason jar here, and I labeled it so that way I know which batch this is, and I'm also going to put the date on there just so I can remember how long it's been. So this first one I'm making is going to be Rosemary Gladstar's, and again, as I said, she is kind of one of the, I guess, grandmothers now at this point of modern herbalism. And so her recipe is the most basic one. So it is going to call for a half cup of grated horseradish. And in the video, you'll see that I grated the horseradish by hand to begin with, and I switched over to using my food processor because it was just really hard to grate. So there we've got a half cup of horseradish. Then it calls for a half cup of chopped onions, then a quarter cup of chopped garlic, and then a fourth of a cup of grated ginger, and then she also calls for cayenne pepper to taste. So I just have some powdered cayenne pepper here, and I'm just going to sprinkle in a little bit, probably about that much. And then we are going to add our vinegar. So for the vinegar, you want to use something that is an organic vinegar, preferably. You want something that's raw, unfiltered, that has the mother inside. So that's going to be your best bet. There are a couple different brands, and this is one we just picked up, I think maybe at Walmart or Target, or I'm not positive. But so we've got a bunch of vinegar we're now just going to add. Okay, so now we have a full jar of the Rosemary Gladstar recipe. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a piece of wax paper on here because vinegar can really degrade metals, and I just don't want any leaching of anything. And then I'm going to put a lid on, and then I'm going to give it a really good shake. And now I'm going to let this sit somewhere nice and warm, which is really anywhere in my house because it's like 80 degrees all the time right now. It's been a hot summer. I'm going to let this sit and shake it every single day. And if you are kind of into the idea of putting good intentions into things and good thoughts and good energy, just kind of put some good healing, healthy, positive vibes into your jar as you shake it. So I'm going to go ahead and put together my other 3 recipes here, and I'll just kind of tell you what's going in as I put them in. So this next recipe I'm doing is from Sparrow Farm. It's by Lisa Massey, and she has Harmonized Cookery in Montpelier, Vermont. And again, I am listing in the description box below where you can find more information and resources from these recipe contributors. So the reason why I picked this recipe is that it really has some interesting things in it. It has a lot of different spices. So I'm excited to try this one because I think it's really going to be pretty tasty. This next cider that I'm doing is from Oshala Farm in Oregon, and it's by Elise Higley. And this one they have listed out as a 5-gallon batch, and it's also then listed in weights. So I did my best to reduce it down so that we will fit it in just our half-gallon jar here. This last batch that I'm making is called Southern Fire Cider, and it's by Phyllis D. Light from Arab, Alabama. And the reason why I picked this one is it doesn't have a ton of ingredients, but what it does include is pine needles, which I live in Minnesota, so I thought that was kind of a cool thing to add to your fire cider. So I'm going to go ahead and make our last batch here. All right, so there we have 4 different types of fire cider all mixed up. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna store this in a warm place but out of direct sunlight, and then every day I'm gonna come give it a really good shake, put some good healthy loving intentions in there, and then after the 4 to 6 weeks I'm gonna strain it out, probably with a fine mesh strainer and a cheesecloth, and then strain it into clean jars. Then you're gonna wanna add honey to it to sweeten it up a little bit because it's gonna have a pretty impressive kick to it. I would say start with maybe a 1/4 cup of warmed honey, mix it into your strained mixture, and if that's not enough, go up another 1/2 cup and a 1/2 cup until it is where you like it, because honey of course has great medicinal benefits too, especially during cold and flu season. If you have any questions at all, please go ahead and comment below. Again, in the description, I will have links to all of the contributors that put forth these recipes, and I will also have a link to the blog post, so in a few weeks we will have results in there doing a taste test of what our family liked best. Thank you very much for watching. You can always check back here at this channel. We have new videos every single week about farming, family, food, and fortitude here at our Rough and Tumble farmhouse.